truly memorable day. What an incredible celebration of an incredible life. Aretha loved Detroit. She loved her life in Detroit. She loved her family. And Detroit, you led the world in loving Aretha. When I sat down in her kitchen, when I had dinner with Aretha in 1979, she already was, of course, the Queen of Soul. She had given the world respect, natural woman, chain of fools, I never loved a man the way I love you, rock steady, amazing grace, think, and so much more. We talked into the night about the next 5 years, 5 years of recording, when Aretha would be over 40 years old. Much of music had changed. Could she still compete? Well, there was no doubt in Aretha's mind, and frankly, there was no doubt in my mind. I signed her to Arista Records, and 5 years turned into more than 3 decades. We were committed to show all the budding musicians how long a career can last. For Aretha was indeed a true genius of American music. Every time I was with her, whether professionally or personally, I was conscious that she was and would always be a significant part of history. And over the course of my life, I've been blessed with the opportunity to spend time with presidents of countries, president of successful trend-setting companies. I've spent time with many successful artists, writers, and movie makers. Most of these individuals have affected the world in some way, but Aretha is in her own very special category. Aretha's voice will be heard. Aretha's voice will be impacting. Aretha's voice will be influencing others literally for centuries to come. And so we got to work, year after year, well into her 40s, yes, well into her 50s and beyond. And we had hits like Jump to It, Get It Right, Who's Zooming Who, Freeway of Love, I Knew You Were Waiting for Me. Sisters are doing it for themselves. A rose is still a rose. Aretha would once again have #1 records, gold albums, platinum albums, and several new Grammy Awards. She relished, she really relished and cherished every moment of it. And I was so privileged to be there and personally witness the magnitude of talent of this singer's singer, this musician's musician. And let me add for you that behind her God-given natural talent was the drive of a total perfectionist. After we decided on the material for an ensuing album, she would go into Aretha mode. And she privately rehearsed, she practiced, she prepared. And by the time she came into the studio, she literally owned the song. Everyone in the studio would be in awe of her mastery when she stepped up to the microphone. It was a real rarity if she ever were to be doing, if she ever were to do more than 2 takes. She was in control, and she was to nail it. Plus, Aretha was electrifyingly intuitive. We were about to go to Washington, D.C. for her to perform at President Clinton's inauguration. We brainstormed the song and chose I Dreamed a Dream from Les Mis. Aretha, if you would, took command of that song in her mind. Flash forward to the performance, and she was really totally in command right from the beginning, hitting those soaring notes as only she could. Everyone in the audience was transfixed as the performance kept building. And then the one and only Aretha, on her own, spontaneously changed the lyric from I dreamed a dream to I have a dream. And that instinctive switch to the Martin Luther King mantra made the climax chillingly unforgettable to this day. Aretha was being Aretha in a class by herself. So today on this very special day, permit me to talk of Aretha the person. Yes, as you've heard, indeed, Aretha was indeed kind and thoughtful. And when she loved you, she really loved you. She was genuinely funny, occasionally with an on-the-money topical sarcasm, but she definitely had a keen wit. She had a great sense of humor. But what stood out personally to me was that she really defined loyalty. If I were to ask her to perform at a special event, she was there. Yes, she traveled the country by bus, and in the winter roads are not very friendly, but she would be there. One year, I was getting a Lifetime Achievement Award at New York's Waldorf Astoria Hotel, and she was telling me that she had begun seriously studying something totally new that she had never before tried. She was studying ballet. She refused to tell me anything about the performance that was to come, other than, Clive, it's going to knock your socks off and everybody in the audiences as well. Frankly, I couldn't at all imagine what it would be, and no one there will ever forget it, least of all me. The night came, the curtain went up, the orchestra started playing, and then Aretha came on, straight-faced, in a tutu. Yes, a tutu. There was the Queen of Soul, accompanied by members of the City Center Ballet Company, she doing well-rehearsed pirouettes and dancing with most impressive agility and dignity. It was wonderful. My friend Aretha was going to extraordinary lengths to make sure the night would be a night always to be remembered. And hopefully, this reveals to you the incredible wide-ranging quest for knowledge that Aretha had. She studied classical music at Juilliard. She loved opera, and of course, her performance without notice of Nessun Dorma at the 1998 Grammys. You all remember that, you'll never forget it. That truly will always show that there was nothing that Aretha could not inimitably master. And of course, her commitment, as you've heard all afternoon, to political activism is well known, as is her famous quote, "I have the money, I get it from black people, and I want to use it in ways that will always help our people." And you all know that Aretha did just that for the Reverend Martin Luther King and so many others. She was a true Renaissance woman. She loved art, she loved fashion, and she loved food. Yes, Aretha loved her soul food, but over the years, as she came to New York, the two of us would go out to restaurants in New York, Bernadette, Four Seasons, Grand Oui, for the finest cuisine in the most beautiful environment. And although she would no longer fly to Europe, every time I would get back from Saint-Tropez or from Capri, she would want all the details. What restaurants did I go to? What did I eat? Who was there? She loved life. Aretha loved life. I'm so glad that 2 years ago, I finally purchased Andy Warhol's great portrait that he did for one of Aretha's album covers. Yes, I walk by this painting several times each week, and I do think of the irreplaceable Aretha. And it's just not the same. I think of her timeless influence on the countless generations to come. But you know something. There is, and there always will be, a huge void. I will deeply miss, that once in a lifetime voice. I will greatly miss her hearty laugh, those endless curiosity questions to me, and that thirst and that wonderful hunger for life. Yes, I will deeply miss my great friend, the ultimate natural woman. Aretha, may you rest in eternal peace forever.